Today I'm going to show you how to install an aftermarket intake. Well, it's not really an aftermarket intake, it's more like a short ram intake. But I'm going to show you how to install an intake filter on a stock tube, on the stock piping here, on a 2001 Honda Odyssey. Now I've seen videos on people showing off their intakes, but in reality they don't show you how to do it. So that's why I'm going to show you how to do it with all the tools and things. I got this filter off Amazon. This is a 3-inch inlet or outlet, I think. It's a 3-inch because this one is like a 4-inch, I think. But I'm going to show you how to install all this. We're going to have to take this whole entire piping off, this entire intake tubing, disconnect a bunch of wires and stuff, but it's very simple. So I'm going to show you how to do all this. So pretty much all you need is common simple tools like a flathead screwdriver, pliers, and and for this piece right here, you can use a Phillips head screwdriver, but as you can see, mine is stripped, so you're going to be using a 6mm for that one. So I'm going to show, let's go ahead and get started and remove this entire intake. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by removing these screws right here. Now there's usually 4 of them, but I only have 2. So you can see there's one right there, and there's one, I don't know if you can see it, but that little orange thing, that's the other screw. Usually there's one over here too, but there's nothing, and there's nothing there either, so there's only 2 screws. So I'm going to be removing these real quick, so just take a Phillips head screwdriver, but I'm going to be using a flathead since it grabs on more better. It's also raining, so I might have to pause between there and then, but let's go ahead and remove this. Alright, now we'll do the other one. So I'm going to remove the other one real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to remove the other stuff. Alright, so the screw has been loosened up, and now there's usually going to be a 10mm right here, but it doesn't have one. So now we can go ahead and just start by removing the hoses. So just, as you can see, there's little hoses here, so just take them out from the slots. Just like that. We're also going to take out the bottom one. Just loosen them up. Don't take off the entire hose clamps or anything. Just take them off of the slot. There's going to be 2 more back here. One right there and the other one right there. Just like that. And now there's going to be this little vacuum hose right here. So we're just going to remove this real quick. Let's see if I can get my hand back here. Alright, this vacuum hose is a little hard to remove. But you remove that vacuum hose right here, and then we're going to disconnect this, and then we're going to take it out from there and just let it look like that. And now we're going to take out this 6mm, just loosen it up so that the hose clamp is loosened, and then we're going to take off this clamp right here, just like that. And then we can remove this pipe right here. Take it off just like that. Alright, so now the whole thing can come off after I remove that little vacuum hose. So now that the vacuum hose has been removed and unmounted from the vacuum, you can see it's out of the way now. So now we can go ahead and take this whole thing. I'm going to give it a little twist. And it comes off just like that. We got the entire tube right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off this giant piece right here, just remove it, separate it from this piece right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to remove this. Alright, so this piece right here, we're doing this inside the car since it's raining outside. I don't want to get myself wet. So we're going to remove this giant piece right here, and this just simply slides off just like that. And now we can get the aftermarket intake and then just put that piece on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a new one on. Alright, so now we can get the aftermarket intake filter, and we're just going to slide it on in here. So we're just going to carefully put it in, twist it so that it goes in better. Alright, now that we got it in, as you can see, it is completely in. This looks nice. We can get the hose clamp on. Now getting the hose clamp on is a little bit difficult because this is actually bigger than the actual fitting right here. So honestly, if you wanted to, well, I prefer this. I prefer you put the hose clamp on first and then tighten it down just so that it connects to the hose clamp, just like that. Make sure it's connected and then put the filter on. This makes it much easier to tighten down that hose clamp, because if the filter's on, since the hose clamp is too big, this thing's not going to fit. So that's why you get the hose clamp on first and then the filter. Alright, we got the filter on. So now all we have to do is tighten down this hose clamp, and then we can install this whole thing back in the car. Alright, so now we'll tighten down the hose clamp. Make sure it's tightened down completely so that this filter doesn't go anywhere. Just like that. This filter is not going anywhere now. So now we can go ahead and install the filter, or we can go ahead and install this entire thing back into the intake system. So we'll start off by removing the old filter since we don't need it anymore, but I'd recommend you keep it just in case if something goes wrong with this filter. So now we'll go ahead and slide this thing back in, make sure the wires go above the filter or above the intake, just like that. This one goes above there, and then the hoses just connect, and then we're going to make sure this thing goes back all the way in. Make sure it seats in all the way into the throttle body. So I'm going to go ahead and put all this back. So now that the intake hose has been seated all the way back into the throttle body, we can go ahead and tighten down the hose clamp that connects to the filter pipe. Make sure it's tightened down good so that this doesn't go anywhere. So now we're going to go ahead and reconnect all these things that go back in their slots just like that. We'll start off with these. We'll go ahead and reconnect the throttle body sensor just like that. And we can go ahead and put this one back on. Good. Now getting this one is a little tough, so I'm going to do this off camera. But all you do is you push it in and it should go on. So I'm going to do all this real quick. I'll put this back on, and then we're going to get everything else reconnected. And then we can start the car and see if it sounds better. Alright, so now that all this is connected, this is back on. We can go ahead and get these back on. I got this on, and that piece on there too. So now we can go ahead and connect the vacuum line, or the vacuum hose. Make sure it goes in all the way. And then the last thing to do is to reconnect this inside there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so this hose clamp has been reconnected and this hose is not going anywhere. All of this is now good. So now, just inspect and make sure there's nothing else missing before we start the car. So as I'm taking a look here, there's nothing missing. So now we can go ahead and start the car and see what it sounds like. So let's go ahead and start it up and see if all this was worth it or if it was a complete huge waste of time. So let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like. Go ahead and start this up. Let's see if there's any check engine lights once we get it started up. So here we go. Would you look at that? No check engine lights. Let's take a look at this. And this sounds a lot better, honestly. This actually sounds very good. Let's give it a few revs and see what it sounds like. Let's see if it makes some intake noise. I'm not trying to rev it loud right now because my neighbor's outside. I don't want to annoy him, but you can hear the little intake noise. That sounds so good. So let's go ahead and shut this off. That sounds so good. Now I took the car for a quick drive and this thing sounds so much better. Like, it sounds like a V8 honestly, but it's not. But this thing sounds so good when you're revving it up, and especially when you're trying to do some pulls, it sounds so good. But pretty much, yeah, this is how you do it though. Alright, as you saw there was no check engine lights, and all this is perfect. No check engine lights, there's no leaks through these little hoses. Everything is just perfect, and this sounds so much better than before. This was actually very worth it. I'll leave a link in the description on where I got this intake filter, but that's pretty much how you do it on a 2001 Honda Odyssey. This works from 1999 to 2004. So that's how you do it. And like the video if it was helpful. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And we're going to be doing a lot of cool things. So the next things I'm going to be doing is, I already have 3 performance spark plugs up here. I just need to do the back ones. But yeah, that's all we're doing right now. So like the video, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.